fact, there's a wonderful movie out there called Goya's Ghost.
I'm not familiar with that one.
With Javier Bardem, by the way. It's a very good movie dealing with the tail end of the Inquisition during the time of Napoleon. And I, without giving a long movie review here, I strongly suggest people that think that torture will produce good information, good intelligence, ought to watch that movie, because torture is a very important part of the Inquisition.
Yeah, you know, I've thought a lot about that concept of torture, like at Guantanamo and so forth. And I've seen a lot of articles where they've pointed out that the information you get is not trustworthy, that people will say anything, and they make up all kinds of reasons why you can't rely on torture testimony. But I myself say that's not the reason we should stop torture. We should stop torture because it's wrong. I don't give a damn whether the information is good or bad. It's something we shouldn't do. What happens to the torturer? What sort of a human being does that produce? You know? Something you want to think about people like in prison, you know, if they're badly treated, because most prisoners get out of prison. And you don't want guys getting out of prison that are mean and hate everybody. You don't want soldiers coming home from overseas that have been doing torture and that's kind of their way of life now. No, it's wrong. That's the reason we should get rid of it. But, you know, well, I'm sounding like a preacher for a minute.
Well, that's all right. No, you're right. It also helps create anti-American propaganda.
Oh, yes.
Which the terrorists can use to recruit new members. That's been documented, by the way. There's a guy with the last name of Matthews has written a book about that. He was an interrogator in Iraq, and the best way to get good information was become friends with your prisoner, not torture him, for crying out loud. And by the way, the World War II interrogators have finally, guys like this fellow from this fellow's time, they interviewed some of the worst Nazis you can imagine, and they said they never laid their hands on a prisoner. They got to know them, they became friends with them, they had dinner with them, and this is how they got good information. By the way, this is exactly what was done with Saddam Hussein. A young Arabic-speaking man befriended a young soldier. Was used to interrogate Saddam Hussein, and he got good information out of him. That Saddam Hussein, the baddest of the bad, was not tortured, and he gave up good information. And unfortunately, because of the Bush administration, Saddam Hussein was turned over to his enemies and was hung. And he went like a man, and he was given an honorable death, and that's not what we want to remember Saddam Hussein for. I think he should still be around as a prisoner.